Tastes and meetings of tastes. All people experience tastes in different ways, it is quite clear. But how is the taste experience itself affected by senses other than the so obvious as taste, and the sense of smell stands for? How much does color, texture, layout, environment, etc. contribute to how you experience the taste itself? That's an interesting question. How much does it matter what taste you have in your mouth before you taste something? It's not for nothing that professional chefs always want water available in between taste tests. But what about the taste combinations? I discovered some time ago when I made vinegar on white wine vinegar with rose petals that if I had a little white wine in my mouth before I tasted it, I could experience the actual rose taste better with the vinegar. Somehow I could isolate the taste of rose better by preparing my sense of taste with something sour that the white wine represented. In this case, it is very important because the taste of roses is difficult to capture. Anyway, it gave me some food for thought after cooking vinegar for many years. A unique taste experience is something that you remember all your life, both what was extraordinarily good, but also what was really bad. What lies in the middle between the good and the bad tends to be forgotten. Personally, I never forgot a fantastic pizza I got in Andorra many years ago. It was thin and crunchy, simply wonderful. Have never experienced anything like this since. Another dessert of a restaurant in Tallinn during the Soviet era in Estonia. This dessert stood for a completely foreign taste to me. Slightly toasted, creamy, full-bodied, just as good. It would take years before I really figured out what it was. It was namely roasted grain. Today, many years later, we make the same dessert ourselves. Another memorable event is from Paris when Malmgård participated in a Finnish-French project a few years ago. A chef made an unforgettable risotto on our rice mix with truffles. The French chef was used to real risotto rice, but I think he himself was surprised as how good the grain rice actually tasted. A mixture of spelt, emmer wheat and barley. At Malmgård, which is located in southeastern Finland, we have made various attempts to get closer to the forces of taste, especially with the powers that cultural cereals possess. The starting point has been to work with the grain that we grow ourselves, but also with those that are sold in our farm shop. The goal is to give the consumer a unique taste experience and as memorable as possible, but also to show what suits what and how to best cook the grain food. All cereals have different flavors and peculiarities. It is important to reach these, keep them, but at the same time highlight them in different contexts. Combining is a key word. The question is just how deep can we reach down into the flavors and distinguish details. In short, it is often said that spelt has a nutty taste, while emmer is reminiscent of almonds and einkorn is described as a good and tasty. The taste of einkorn is fascinating. It's difficult to find a suitable resemblance to it. The taste and aroma are unique. Something soft, something buttery, something very good, a little luxurious perhaps. In a French text about food, einkorn was described as grain caviar. That says a lot. Here I will present some of our experiments and experiences made over the years. We started our farm shop and further processing in 2003, which means a period of almost 20 years. We have been organic for 26 years. Some pictures that I show are in Malmgård's small cookbooks, which are created during the Corona period. while others have emerged via experiments. It's a lot about meeting sweet, salty, sour and roasted, but also different kinds of cereals and not least different forms of cereals, such as flour, rice, crushes, etc. A total of 5 different experiments are presented: sweet cookies, 3 varieties of rye, rice, mini rice, and roasting. The first attempt is about small sweet cookies. This attempt was made 4 years ago in collaboration with a young baker. All in all, this included 9 different kinds of flour, all whole grains: rye, purple wheat, einkorn, spelt talkuna, barley, emmer wheat, buckwheat, and a mix consisting of spelt, emmer, and barley. Here the cereals meet mainly sweetness with one and the same recipe right through. Amount of sugar was 150 gram and on 450 gram cereals in all cases. What surprised us most was emmer wheat's own sweetness and a deep taste of purple wheat. The buckwheat's interesting and good taste also came out clearly. We did also a taste test on the cakes with people who had nothing to do with the project. 8 people participated. The cookies were numbered, which meant that no one knew what they were eating. That was important. The taste winners were rye, purple wheat, einkorn and buckwheat. A thought: are these cereals less sweet in themselves, or do they fit better with sweetness? Or maybe the test group liked less sweet cakes better. Or was it something else? The result was that today we sell small sweet cakes made from whole grain rye, made from an old recipe with a historical connection to Malmgård. In this recipe, there are only 3 ingredients: flour, butter, and sugar. The second experiment is about 3 rye species: Smith, Slash and Burn rye, and Sangaste. Here an attempt was made to reach the difference in taste between different rye varieties. Only Sangaste rye was grown on Malmgård, the other came from Västgötarna in Sweden. All 3 were baked with the same recipe by the same person who is used to baking with rye, but not baker by profession. Only water and a little salt were used. The person who baked did not know about these rye varieties before the experiment. The person then gave a statement about taste, smell, and baking properties. Here we can see the results. The first picture shows Smith. Here you can see a slightly pungent odor, strong taste, and a little difficult to roll. No cracks. The second was Slash and Burn rye. Here you can also find a good rye scent, strong taste, sticky dough, but easy to roll, brittle but does not burst, and have some small bubbles that appeared. The third was Sangaste rye. Here a mild and soft scent was experienced, good taste, small cracks in the edge, but no bubbles. As the rye has a unique taste and has long traditions in Finnish food culture, similar attempts could be made to bring out regional peculiarities. Already this little attempt pointed at least in the direction. I know that Annika Mihason is in the same line. We also compared these varieties at the grinding and came to large differences there. It was about smell, softness and color, which to some extent can be compared with the baking test. Similar comparisons could be made with Dala wheat and Öland wheat grown in different countries. Torun Hernes-Bjerkem mentioned this in one occasion. Here both taste and cultivation characteristics could be compared between countries. Or why not try to see if autumn and spring spelt differ from each other in terms of flavors? Does a longer growing season affect the taste? There are many questions. A little back to rye. In this context, I would also like to highlight the term uutisruis, which means fresh rye in English. It is a Finnish tradition to eat fresh rye porridge when this year rye has just been harvested. Here you are greeted by a very special, sour, slightly sweet, exciting soft taste, a delicacy quite simply. The porridge boils for about 3 hours and it is then eaten with raw lingonberry and preferable with fresh cow milk. You could call it rye nouveau. After a while, the rye loses this specific taste property and changes to ordinary rye. It is often said that this happens around Christmas. Rice. Malmgård has for many years sold rice, which we in Swedish is called sädesris and in Finnish viljariisi. At first, everyone wondered what it was and thought it was weird. Today it is not so strange anymore and sales are increasing more and more. We have received some help from the industry which has started with similar products. In our shop we have rice on einkorn, emmer wheat, spelt, barley, rye and oats. They are mostly used for risotto, pilafs and salads but also for oven porridge. Here the different grain flavors stands out clearly, but behind the power of taste lies how the core is peeled, how it is cooked and the combination with other flavors. Dehulling itself is extremely important. Flavors must be able to penetrate the core. Furthermore, the kernels should be the same size to have an even cooking time. And not least, they should feel comfortable to eat, not too heavy and powerful, which they easily get with too much shells. Dehulling takes place in 2 stages for us, based on our ability to peel. First, remove the outer shell with the peeling machine, and the cores are then further sharpened or ground. You can cook rice grain in many different ways. I usually tell the customers to think rice, and in that way there are lots of opportunities. One can do, for example, an authentic risotto, steaming, boiling water and soak afterwards, use a rice cooker or in oven. Everything according to how you want the rice, dry, soft, hard or more sticky. The choice of ways of cooking also affects the taste quite clearly. Among the rice, the emmer wheat is the big winner for us. Emmer rice is sold today to restaurants, mainly in southern Finland, and the chefs comes up with the most fantastic recipes, one after another. When it comes to barley rice, it seems to be returning to Finnish cuisine more and more. According to old cookbooks, it was used a lot in the past. Today in some places in Finland, so-called Karelian pies are made with barley rice instead of ordinary rice. Perhaps most interesting, however, is that a Japanese restaurant in Helsinki uses our barley rice in some of its dishes. In the following pictures you can see different uses from Malmgård's book. Here is moose soup with barley, pyttipanna, creamed rice, as number 4, a novelty for the year is presented, so-called mini rice. It reminiscent of couscous, but it's not. Quite simply, you could say crushed rice, even if the process itself is not so simple. As for flavor, I ask myself, does the crusher taste more than the whole core? One thing is for sure, added flavors are better absorbed in the crushed grain. In addition, the cereal flavors are better preserved during the short cooking time. Here we have a form of modern, easy-to-cook fast food. We are talking about a few minutes, plus the time to draw in fluid. The liquid can be broth, water, white wine, or juice, depending on what the mini rice is to be used for. For example, if you want to eat fish with the mini rice, it is recommended to use fish broth or just water and a little salt. We have made mini rice on einkorn, emmer wheat, spelt, barley and a mix. All can be used for everything and all flavors came out clearly, but it can be stated that einkorn occupies a class of its own. Here comes some suggestion how to use it. As a filling in a pie, maximum taste experience will be if the pie crust is made of the same grain as the mini rice. In this picture it's barley. As a filling in an omelette, served as lunch or as a snack. In combination with saffron, here barley is best suited as it absorbs the color well. As a fast dish with zucchini and onions, it fits everything. In the picture we have einkorn. For venison with vegetables and berries, in the picture a mix of spelt, emmer, wheat and barley. And here mixed with creme fraiche as a sauce. The last test is concerning roasting. Over the years, Malmgård have been involved in various attempts to roast grain. In Finland, the roasted product is called talkkuna, and in Swedish, skrädmjöl. We have tried different methods, both with whole kernels and with crushed. Some with salt and some without. It can be stated that the effect of the salt has a great impact on the end result. In addition, it is clear that the combination of roasting and cereals suits some cereals better than others. In short, it can be said that emmer wheat, spelt, buckwheat, rye and oats are the winners. Talkkuna can be used for desserts and cakes, but also for bread. And here are some examples. The cake in the picture, which is flavored with a little cognac, is made of emmer wheat and also emmer with talkkuna. It tastes like almonds, but there is no almonds in it. Here the sweetness of the emmer marries the roasted and light cognac taste in the background. This emmer cake has been served in an exclusive cafe in Paris. The dessert with quark has its origins in Estonia, and the one I mentioned in the beginning as unforgettable. The bread has its origins in the Finnish culture, so-called rieska. It is usually made from potatoes and barley, but here it is made from emmer wheat, emmer talkkuna and honey. It is important to know how to roast, not too little, but not too much either. Proper roasting is a valuable seasoning that highlights the cereals in an exciting way. Temperature, time, and consistency are important factors in connection with roasting, likewise boiling or soaking. When it comes to storage, it is important to keep the aroma, just like with coffee. After some selected thoughts and attempts, you can call it a small beginning to something bigger, hopefully. I am sure that together in the Nordic countries we could do a lot to strengthen the taste value of the unique cereals. We who deal with local food and are not that big have a chance here to get closer to the specific tastes. We have our own niche of flavors. We possess a power of taste in the same sense as the author Per Sturegård highlights in his book The Power of Taste from 2019. An interesting note is that in his book he also mentions ancient cereals. While the industry more or less mixes different, for example oats varieties in a large silo, we can offer and highlight the peculiarities of different varieties. In this way, we can produce a richer and more exciting, but also a more multifaceted experience for our customers. This applies to all cereals, different types of oats, different types of wheat, and so on. Rye is not just rye, just like wine is not just wine. Rice is not just rice, and flour is not just flour. Here the Swedish heritage wheats have come a long way with different regional heritage wheats. In fact, so far that today the bakers in Finland talk about Öland wheat and Dala wheat as taste concepts, a bit like they would be wines, while we are waiting for our own local Finnish heritage wheats. But they are on their way in the near future. Imagine being able to tell the customer, here we have a local wheat from Uusimaa landscape in Finland.